Okay, let's start the session. A small recap about yesterday's topic. Yesterday we were discussing about abstraction in Java, right? By now we got to know what is an abstraction. Hiding the implementation details. So the things that is necessary. Okay, anything which is abstract, you see what it does actually. Not the internal things. Looking at it, you will able to know that what it is actually going to do, but you are not sure how it is going to do. Right, so we have seen this car example analogy. What is the complex working is hidden is called abstraction, right? And how we can achieve abstraction in Java? We can achieve two abstract classes. The question is, what is abstract classes? Any class with abstract keyword, it's an abstract class. Okay, when you take a class, and if the class is declared with the abstract keyword, okay, and it's an abstract class. I mean, what are the methods that an abstract class have? It can have both the abstract methods as well as concrete methods. Okay, abstract methods are methods with the body, and method without the body, concrete methods. This is all about abstract class, right? And abstract class is just like an useless class when you are not implementing, when you are not using it, when any other class is not using it. Okay, definitely there should be an implementation. For example, if I say abstract class A, right? Okay, and if you can keep any number of abstract methods as well as the non-abstract, concrete methods, abstract and the concrete methods, and only you can utilize it when a class is implementing, when the class is extending to this abstract class. Okay, you basically use the extends keyword, right? Or let me keep it as class B. Should extend A. What is the contract? What is the contract between these two classes? You need to give the implementation for the abstract methods. Okay, you will find, if you find at least one abstract method, right? Find the abstract methods, you need to give the body for those abstract methods, right? And we have understood why we have to give the body and all in the yesterday session, right? And what else we have seen? Abstract methods don't have a body, subclasses must override them. Concrete methods are what? They have a body, right? And provide a shared logic for subclass. You cannot create an object for the abstract class. Instantiated means object creation, right? And what else we have seen? And its users, I have given these things in the description, the YouTube video description, right? So today let me introduce about the interfaces. Introduction to interface. So here the theory says an interface in Java is a blueprint of a class. It is used to achieve abstraction and multiple inheritance in Java. If anyone is asking you a question, hey, can you tell me what is an interface? The straight answer: an interface in Java is a blueprint of a class. Why it is called as blueprint, we'll discuss now. It is used to achieve abstraction and multiple inheritance in Java. If you remember in the previous session, we have somewhere in the inheritance topic, I have clearly mentioned that multiple inheritance is not possible with classes, but you can achieve multiple inheritance with interfaces. Okay, interviewer can not trick your mind asking you for, is multiple inheritance is possible in Java or not? Question could be like this: hey, can you tell me if multiple inheritance is possible in Java or not? What should be your answer? Again, your follow-up question should be like, your reverse question should be like, is it for classes or interfaces? And if you say, if it is for classes, it is not possible. Not possible for class, but for interfaces, yes, it is possible. Okay. What is an interface? It is used to achieve multiple inheritance in Java. It is used to achieve abstraction. We will see these things in detail. Let me introduce an interface, right? Okay, how can I define an interface in Java? Use the interface keyword first of all, right? You can give any meaningful name. Just like a class, you define the way you are defining a class. In the similar way, you define the interface, but instead of using the class keyword, you use the interface keyword. Okay, let me say the name of the interface is here. It does has a body. It does have a body, right? Inside this body, you have to understand two things here. You have to understand two things. You can only have abstract methods. Okay, no concrete methods are allowed. you can only have abstract methods. Example, okay, if I take an interface A, right, and I can say public abstract void m1. Okay, only you can have abstract methods. A method without the body. Concrete methods are not allowed. So try to write a concrete method like public void m2. Not allowed. Interface can have only abstract method. First thing, okay, understood. It can have only abstract method. Okay, I can say it can have only abstract method. Only abstract methods are allowed. Second one is, you can define the, define the variables. Okay, by default, it is public static final. What does it mean when I say define a variable? You can specify a data. You can define a data. For example, so you want to define the country, right? So country is sequence of characters, isn't it? So India. India is what? India is a country sequence of characters. Okay, this needs to get assigned to a variable. A meaningful name could be what? Country. Right? And what type is it? String type. String data type. Right? Should be public static final. So, when I say public static final, when I say final, it means final. When I say final, it means final. What does it mean? You cannot change the value to this variable. You cannot change. India remains India forever in this context. It cannot be changed. Okay, I can also say that a kind of constant. Constants cannot be changed, right? Is fixed always. For example, speed of the light. Okay, it cannot be changed, right? For example, value of pi, it cannot be changed. For example, the state names, usually it cannot be changed, right? For example, your name cannot be changed. Your Aadhaar card number cannot be changed. Constant. It remains. The data is going to remain like that forever. Right, 100%. I can say not 99. I can say 100%. So they are what? Constants. Right. So in the interfaces, you can define a variable. Okay. So by default, it is public static final. Means by default. By default means when I say by default, even though you are mentioning this or you are not mentioning this, public static final, you are mentioning this or not mentioning this. If I remove this also, internally compiler will add public static final. When I say default, that is what the default is. When you keep public static final, it is public static final. When you remove this also, compiler will place public static final. That is what the word by default means. Right? Likewise, even for the abstract methods, by default, it is public abstract. Public abstract, by default. Okay, so what does it mean? Right? Public abstract by default. What does it mean? Same thing. I remove public abstract. Okay. Still, this will be treated as what? Compiler will place public abstract. Example. Okay, let us see few more examples. Let us say that I have interface B here. Okay, when I just writing the code like this, okay, I want to say something like Aadhaar card number. So integer Aadhaar card number. Aadhaar card number is something, let me say 1 2 3 4 5. So this is a variable, and the next thing I am taking a method like void display method. If I give this piece of code to the compiler, what compiler will do? Compiler will add the default things. When I say default things, okay, even though you are placing it or not placing it, this will be treated as public static final. Variable will be treated as public static final. Okay, and the method will be treated as public abstract. You place, no issues. If you don't place, compiler will place for you. Compiler can understand your laziness if you don't place. If you place, no issues. Are you understanding what do you mean by default? So these are the by default. If you place or if you don't place, these things will be in place, and the compiler will ensure that these things are in place. That's what it's called by default. Okay, and the data should always be a constant. You can represent a constant in the interface. If you want to place a data that keeps changing, okay, stock market price that keeps changing, right? It cannot be a constant forever. Petrol prices, it keeps changing. Not like that. If you have any data that is a constant, you can choose those data to be placed in the interface. Okay, by default, any you place a method, only you can place abstract method, no concrete methods, no concrete. Understood what is a what is a skeleton structure about the interface? Are we good till now? Tell me. Yes or no? Are able to follow till now? What is an interface? When I say by default things, this is what the by default things are. Okay. Now you see there is a beautiful contract exists between the class and the interface. Right. I'm not using public static final here, but still it will consider public static final. This will be public. Let me put it. Okay. Initial stage, right? We will put it public static final. What is it? Public abstract void m1. I have an interface like this. Instead of m1, let me take a meaningful name, display. Okay. Let me take another class something like b. Okay. Now if I ask you how many classes are there, okay, you can see anyone with eyes can say that you have the driver class and you have the class by the name of b. Right? Apart from that, you have one more which is not a class, which is an interface here. Right? So you need to utilize this structure, right? You need to utilize this. Okay? If you want to place a contract, or if you want to utilize the functions of an interface, definitely a class should implement an interface. You should use what? You should use implements keyword. Here the implements keyword come into the picture. Please get acquainted to this terminologies. Implements. When a class is implementing an interface, okay, B is implementing an interface, okay, and the class should fulfill a contract. There should be a deal between the class and the interface. What kind of dealing should be there? Okay, class should say, hey, interface A, I will ensure that your abstract method is getting overridden. I will give the implementation to your abstract method. Let me implement you. I will give the implementation. How is an implementation? Just copy the same thing and place the same thing. Just remove the abstract keyword. Okay, remove the semicolon here. Keep the body. That's it. Implementation is completed. You do not have to worry about the variable. You do not have to worry about data. You need to implement only the abstract methods. That is the contract. Right? Now this display would be having something like system.out.println. Okay. I am the display method of class P. Okay, let us say that another class is coming, class C. Okay, class C wants to maintain a relationship with interface. How it can be done? Okay, to establish a relationship between a class and interface, implements is the keyword. Implements is the keyword, followed by what is an interface here? Okay. Contract. What is the contract? Class C has to say to interface A, I will be implementing your abstract method. Please allow me to implement. Okay, it is giving us an error. The code is getting broken, right? So this abstract method needs to be overridden, and the class C has to give its own implementation logic. Body. It has to give the body. System.out.println. I have the display method class. That's it. That's it. How can I call this? Okay, use this interface A as a reference. Obj equal to new B. B is the class name. Okay. Just call obj dot display method. Okay, since your object has been created for the class B, the display method of class B will be executed. Okay, the output will be what? I am the display method of class B. Okay, if you are just changing it to class C, display method of class C gets executed. Real-time example I will give. Let me say you are purchasing a phone. Inside phone, okay, the name of the phone is what? Let me remove phone. Let us say the name of the phone name, phone underscore name. Okay, let us say that the name of the phone is something like Nokia, right? And what I am doing, this phone says you can purchase my phone. You can use any SIM card. SIM card can be anything. Okay, so the method name is what? SIM card. Okay, the respective service provider should implement this phone interface so that it can give the, it can fulfill the contract of the SIM card. Example, let us say that I have a class like Airtel class. Okay, I have another class like Geo class. Okay, my Airtel class is implementing phone. Okay, let me remove this, not required. Remove this, not required. Okay. And my Geo class is also implementing to phone. Okay. When the class is implementing an interface, what is the contract? The contract is what? Abstract methods needs to be overridden. Okay, the respective class needs to give the implementation for the abstract method. Copy this method and just paste it here, right? Okay, give the body, remove this abstract keyword. Implementation is done. What is the logic that you are going to write here? System.out.println, I am calling from. Likewise, Geo is also implementing the phone, right? What is the abstract method inside the phone? This is the abstract method. Just copy it and paste it here. Remove the abstract keyword, remove the semicolon, give the body, and define your own logic here. Okay, I am calling from GeoSIM. Implementation has been done successfully, but phone is Nokia only. Phone is what? Phone is still Nokia only. Okay, what I can do? Okay, if you want, even if you want to include this, okay, I'm using the phone name also in the logic phone name. Okay, so constant is same for Airtel, same for Geo. Okay, it's because same phone Nokia, right? But SIM card is what? The optional. Okay, it is a kind of loose coupling. You have the control to make the changes to the SIM card according to your requirement in the runtime. If you like Airtel SIM, you can use Airtel SIM. If you like Geo SIM, you can use Geo SIM. Okay, so copy this phone interface, remove this, copy this phone interface, create a reference like object, or my my sim, something like my sim equal to new Airtel. Okay, so by using this reference variable, you can call what? You can call the SIM card. Okay, my phone, my Airtel SIM has been inserted to my phone. Okay, which phone? If you just execute this, you get Nokia. Phone is Nokia. I'm calling from Airtel SIM. Or else I can put a meaningful message, something like this. I am using, okay, I am using Nokia phone and I am calling from Airtel SIM. Likewise, phone is going to be same. No? I'm using Nokia phone and I am calling from. Now you see the beauty. Just change the reference. I mean, just change the object. New Airtel. You get what? Get something like this in the output. I'm using Nokia and I am calling from Airtel SIM. Okay, if you just change it to Geo, okay, the constant is same, right? I'm using Nokia and I'm calling from Geo SIM. Likewise, in future, you have an option to buy many SIM cards. You have an option to buy many SIM cards. Likewise, you can buy a BSNL. BSNL. Okay, this BSNL can order have a contract with Nokia phone. What is the phone here? Phone is an interface. A contract is happening between the class and the interface. You have to use the implements keyword. Override what? Override the abstract method. Override the abstract method. Just remove the abstract keyword, right? SIM card, and give your own implementation. Okay, without changing the existing code, okay, you have the control of adding the new functionality by using the new classes. Okay, just you will have to implement the interface so that you will abide by this contract. This is the contract. This is saying what you are supposed to do, what you have to do. You need to give the implementation. Whichever class is using my interface, you give the implementation, you give the body, and use it accordingly to achieve what? To achieve loose coupling. Now BSNL SIM card is we have added the BSNL service provider, right? I'm calling from BSNL SIM. In the future we can say just like what? BSNL, right? Now using, yeah, am I changing this line number 41? I'm not changing this line number 41. This line number 41 remains the same. I am just changing the the reference, I mean the object here. I'm just changing the object class objects here, right? People understand? This is what interface is. You can define a constant and you can define an abstract method. Only you can define abstract methods. Making sense? Everyone, are we good? Are you able to follow? This is what an interface is. So what an interface is. Let me increase the complexity. Right? Let me increase the complexity. Now I have a requirement like, let me remove this. So we are done with these SIM cards now. We will look into another example, another good example. Let us say that I have an interface something like swim. Okay, it looks very weird, right? So the name of the interface is what? Name of the interface is something like swim. Okay, I'm taking another interface here. My second interface is, let me say, fly. Let me say something like this. Flyable. Yes. Swimmable. I have two interfaces. Now we are, we are dealing with two interfaces. Previously we have only one interface. Now I have increased. I have added one more interface. We are going to deal with two interfaces. Okay. My flyable interface has one method which is called as one abstract method, void fly. Okay, remember, I'm not using public abstract. Okay, even if I'm using or if I'm not using, by default this will be public abstract. Okay, let me add public abstract. If I add or if I don't add, it will be compiler is going to treat it as public abstract by default. The second one is swimmable method. In the swimmable interface, I have a method like void. Let me take the method as swim abstract method. By default, it will be public. Two different interfaces. Okay. Now you see the beauty. I have a class called duck class. What duck class is doing? Duck class is implementing this flyable interface as well as swimmable interface. It is implementing two interfaces. Okay. For the better visibility, let me put it here. Okay, so I'm dealing with two different interfaces, and I have a class. My duck class is implementing what? It implements two interfaces. If you see in the inheritance topic, back to the previous inheritance topic, I have already said that, right? If I have a class A, if I have something like class B, and if I have something like class C, if my class C is extending to, for classes you use extends keyword. My class C is extending to A comma B. What I have said, this thing is not possible with classes, right? So this is a topic of what? This is a topic of multiple inheritance, which is not possible. With classes it is not possible, but here for interfaces it is possible. I am implementing two interfaces at the same time. This is possible, but this is not possible. With classes, multiple inheritance is not possible, but with interfaces it is possible. Why it is possible, I will explain you. Now, what is the contract? What is the contract between the duck class and the playable and swimmable interface? Okay, it says interface says, duck, can you please fulfill the contract? Okay, duck says, okay, let me fulfill the contract. I will give the implementation for this abstract method, this fly method, as well as for this swim method. For both interfaces, it should give the implementation. This abstract method should be overridden. Okay, let us override that, right? Or else simply you can go here. If you are using Eclipse, you will get an option like add unimplemented methods. Just click on this. Okay, all the methods will be override. You can remove this override keyword for now, not necessary, optional. Sorry. Okay. Abstract methods are overridden. Okay. SY system.out.println can swim system.out.println can fly. Right? So by using flyable interface, flyable f equal to new, and by using similar swimmable interface, swimmable s equal to new def. Okay. With the help of f reference variable, I can call fly method. With the help of s reference variable, I can call swim method. There is no ambiguity here. I'm being very specific because my type is clearly saying that, my flyable type is clearly saying that inside my flyable interface I have only fly method, right? So I can execute only fly method of the implementation class. Likewise, inside the swimmable interface, I have only what? I have only swim method. Okay, my reference variable is clearly saying that I can implement only the swim method in the implementation class. There is no ambiguity here. There is no confusion here. That's why you are able to implement separately. Duck can fly, duck can swim. There is no ambiguity here. Right? This is defining which method can be triggered. So this f reference variable can see only the methods of what? Methods of its interface, which is flyable as only fly method, right? The subclass only it can able to execute this method because this fly method is part of this interface. Likewise, with the s reference variable of swimmable type, is swimmable as only swim method, right? So only it can execute this child class method swim, not the opposite one. So output is very clear: duck land by duck lands. So that's why multiple inheritance is possible in Java. Right? Okay. One more thing. Instead of doing this, I can also do something like this. Okay, my swimmable can extends to flyable. Okay. So duck class can implement only swimmable. If I run this code, I will get the same output. Okay, what is the difference between previous one and this one? Both are same. This is the previous one. Okay, now the new method is something, new approach is something like this. You see, this is a new approach. The beauty of this approach is, right? Okay, now the class duck is implementing only one interface, which is swimmable. Only one interface. Okay, if you want to make a relationship between interface and interface, you have to use a keyword called extends keyword. If you want to make a relationship between class and a class, okay, you have to use a keyword called what? Extends keyword. If you want to use a relationship between interface and class, you need to use what? You need to use implements keyword. If you want to use a relationship between class and interface, okay, this is not possible. Start the 4 ways. Okay. Interface has to be Interface cannot, interface can extend to interface. Interface cannot implement class. This is one thing you have to remember. Right? Interface with interface. If you want to establish relationship between interface and interface, use the extends keyword. Class and class, use the extends keyword. Interface and class, okay, the top one should be interface and the bottom, the child should be class. Implements keyword. Same thing I have done here. So the class is implementing an interface, right? So I have used what? I have used the implements keyword. The class is main, establishing a relationship between interface. So I'm using implements keyword. Here, interface is establishing a relationship with another interface. So extends keyword. Extends keyword, right? If I ask you for the flyable interface, you have only one abstract method. Only one abstract method here. If I ask you for the swimmable interface, how many abstract methods you have? You should say there is one abstract method here. Since it is extending to flyable interface, there is another abstract method here. So this is also applicable for this interface. It can inherit this abstract method also. So visibly you can see only one, okay, but indirectly this swimmable interface is inheriting the fly abstract interface also. So there are two abstract methods here, right? That's why when the duck is implementing only swimmable interface, duck is implementing only swimmable interface, but the swimmable interface, visibly it has only one, but indirectly it is inheriting the another one which is from the flyable interface. That's why I have overwritten the swim method as well as the flyable method. Right? Quick question. When I say interface A, interface sending B, okay, void M1. Okay, how many abstract methods are there for interfacing? Anyone tell me? Unmute and speak. How many methods are there in interfacing?
One.
One. How many methods? One. Yes, one. Why one? Because indirectly class C, interface C is extending to B, but B is extending to A. So this M1 method is available for this one as well as this one, but you don't see that. When I say something like, for example, now you tell me how many methods are available for interface C. How many abstract methods are there in interface C? Interface C. Two. Why? Because this is extending to B. We have one abstract method in B, but this B is also extended to A. We have another method. So this method gets inherited automatically by interface C, but you don't see that they are available because of this extends keyword. You are inheriting it, right? So now you tell me how many abstract methods are there in interface C? Three. Because this one, plus this one, right? So by looking at this hierarchy, I can conclude that you have three abstract methods here, two abstract method is here, one abstract method is here. Okay. Now you tell me if the class A is, if the class D implementing C, how many abstract methods it has to override? I have a class D which is implementing to C interface. How many abstract methods it has to override? Three, correct. Because you have to give the implementation for what? To give the implementation for M3. You have to give the implementation for M2. You have to give the implementation of M1. Making sense now? Right? Same thing I have done here. So duck is implementing only simmable interface. Okay. It will make more sense if you give if you give the implementation for this. But this simmable interface is implementing flyable interface. So The contract is that should ensure that the implementation is given for this abstract method as well as this abstract method. That is it. This is all about interface. Okay, so till Java 1.7. Now let me make some points here. Till Java 1.7, okay, you can have only abstract methods or public static variables in an interface. How many abstract methods you can have? Any number of abstract methods. Any number of abstract methods. How many public static final variables you can? Any number of public static any number of variables. No restrictions are there. Till what is 1.7? 1.7 is a Java version. Till Java 1.7, if anyone is asking a question about interface, till Java 1.7, what should say? Interface is what? Interface is a blueprint of a class. It is used to achieve multiple inheritance. Okay, you can also add this point. You can have only abstract methods or public static final variables. Okay, and there are no limitations for number of abstract methods, and there are no limitations for number of variables. Are we good till now? Yes, no?
Yes, sir.
Making sense now? I will also give you the assignments for the better understanding. Okay, now interesting thing is there from Java 1.8. Java 1.8 is also again a version from Java 1.8. In an interface, you can have default and static. Very simple. Okay, don't get any confusion. Okay, let me take only one interface example. Simple interface name I am taking. Name of the interface is here. Okay, we do not want to have this. Let's use the driver class itself. Driver is also a class. No, let us implement. From Java 1.8, I am talking about from Java 1.8. From Java 1.8, what is actually happening is you can have abstract method. Abstract method is what? Public abstract void m1. This is an abstract method. You can also have a variable by default public static final country in you can also have final variable. You can also abstract. Apart from this, from Java 1.8, I'm saying till Java 1.7, this is how the interface has to be. You can have these things in any numbers. Okay, but from Java 1.8, okay, you can also have a method called default method. Okay, what is a default method? Any method with a default keyword. Default void. Okay, let me take the name of the method as test method. Any method with the default keyword. Access modifier is public. Any method with the default keyword. System.out.println. So this is my default method. One more method is there. You can also have static method. What is the static method? Any method with a static keyword. Taking the method as check method. Okay. This so these are the changes from Java 1.8. Okay. From Java 1.8, okay, you can have like in Java 1.7 where you add what? Where you add the abstract methods, and where you have the public static final variables. Okay, having also you can have something like a default method. What is a default method? Any method when you place a default keyword and you give the body, default method. What is a static method? Any method, okay, when you place static keyword and you give the body. These are the changes. The question would be like, what are the changes for the interface from Java 1.8? These are the changes. How we are going to call this? That is the question, right? How we are going to call this? Okay. We have a class here. If the class is implementing an interface, implementing the interface here, what is a contract? Contract is very simple. You need to override only the abstract method, not the. If you want, you can override the default method also, but you cannot override the static method. Let me repeat. For now, we will override only abstract method. We will fulfill only that contract, the main contract. So this is mandatory contract. Okay, give the body to this abstract method. Public static, right? Void m1 stop.out.println override, or else I can say that m1 class. Okay. Now let us take the reference variable a into a obj equal to new driver. Okay. By using this obj reference variable, I can call this m1 method. Okay. I can call the default method, that's the body test method. I can also collect the, what is it, the final variable name, which is what, country. I want to display it in the console, right? Country. This reference variable access to the overridden abstract method, one thing. Second one is the default method, which is actually part of the interface. Okay. Third thing is the constant, this constant. If I run this piece of code, you'll see something about method one of driver class. This is my default by India. Okay. But what about the static method? Okay, I cannot, name of the method is check, right? Let us try to access this method by this obj reference variable obj dot check. I cannot access the directly. I cannot access the static method by using this reference variable. What I can do, I have to use the interface name, which is a, or use the method. The static method. Okay. To get better clarity, what I will do, I will just explain this thing in the paint scan. So this is with respect to Java 1.8. File new. Let me separate this main class for the better visibility. One minute, guys. Okay. Now you see, guys. So first thing is I have an interface, okay, and then I have a class, right? Class driver. My class driver is implementing an interface. What is the first contract? What is the first role? The moment you establish a relationship between class and the interface. So this is the class. This is an interface relationship, right? What is the contract? Just look for abstract method. For this abstract method, the class has to give the body. Okay, done. Contract is fulfilled. Contract is fulfilled, right? Now in the main method, what I am doing? The main method, okay, I have the reference of interface type. Since I cannot create an object for interface, remember, I cannot do this. I cannot create an object for the interface. A obj equal to new. I cannot do this. Okay, the left hand side can be an interface type, and the right hand side should be the implementation class type, which is what? New driver. New driver is the class. This is the syntax. Left hand side should be interface type. Right hand side should be what? The class type. Whichever the class is implementing that class type. Okay, that's why the object has been created like this. After creating an object, okay, you have given the power to the reference variable, which is what? Obj. Now obj is coming in the picture. Obj. Okay. This obj can access the m1 method, the overridden m1 method. Okay, this obj can also access, okay, the default method directly with the reference. This obj can access the constant, which is what? Country. Okay. The surprise variable can access the overridden abstract method, okay, the default method, and the constant, which is secondary, right? But this obj cannot access static method. Obj cannot accept what? What is the static method? Check. Name of the method is check method. It cannot access the check method. It's not possible. How to access the check method? Use the, how to access a static method? Use the interface name dot static method. That's why to access the static method, I have to follow what? I have to use the interface name dot the static method. These are the changes. Right? So what is the purpose of introducing this default method? To achieve the backward compatibility. In future, if you want to add any code, okay, if you already have an working interface, for example, right, let us say that if you already have a working interface, let me remove this. Okay, your driver class is implementing the interface here. This is a working interface, and you just, when you execute this obj.m1, right, successfully you are able to get what you have designed. Method m1 of driver class. This is completely working. If someone is trying to add a new abstract method here, abstract void m1 or m2, something like, okay, the class is going to break. It will not function now. It will not function now. In our example, since we have only one class which is implementing an interface, no issues. In the future, there will be 100 classes or there will be 50 classes which will be implementing only one interface. Right? If you add one abstract method, the whole code is going to break. Okay, this driver class will break, another class that is implementing this interface will break. Everything will break. You will not get the required output. This is breaking. I did not save this. You have to add the it is asking you to what? Add the unimplemented methods. This code is breaking. There is an error, right? To avoid that, they have introduced a default method. If you add a default method or static method, the code will not break. Even if 100 classes are implementing this one interface, right? For 100 classes, the code will not break. But the problem will come only if you add an abstract method. Okay, to achieve that backward compatibility, okay, they have introduced this default and the static methods so that the code will function just like that. If you want, you can use this. If you want, you can use this test method. If you do not want, you can avoid using this. You can use this by using the we have just discussed it, right? You can use this by using the reference variable name. If you want to override this also, you can do. If you don't like this implementation, you can just override this in the class. Okay, and so remove the default keyword, and you can give your own implementation here. That is an advantage. You can use this. If you do not like that implementation given for the backward compatibility, you can just override this and give this. You can give your own implementation. Now this will be executed. If I just call the test method, now the own implementation method will get executed. Own implementation. Right? Don't think much. Okay, so these things are just for the interview purpose. In the Selenium things, you don't come across this. right? But just to give an idea, I'm giving you all this. Okay, these things are important for the interview room. Okay, so what I'm saying is, if I have an interface 100 classes. Let us say that there are 100 classes implementing the above interface. Implements above. Yes. Okay. So my interface has only one abstract method. What is the role? All these 100 classes has to implement abstract method. All the 100 classes has to give the implementation for this abstract method. Override this abstract method. All the 100 classes. So this has been done already. Okay. So this is well and good. Every classes has done this, and the code is completely in the production. It is well and good. Right? If you want to introduce another abstract method, if I try to write another abstract method here, second abstract method, right? I need to override the second abstract method in all the implementation classes. All the existing code is going to break. This class, all the 100 classes will break until and unless I override that. To avoid this, okay, I do not want to change the interface, but I want to add my own logic in the interface. So that's the reason why they've introduced a method called default method. You can happily use this default method. Okay? So this will not affect the implementation class. Okay? If the implementation class is liking this, they can use this default method, or else they can override this. Oops. Are you getting what I'm trying to say, everyone?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, good, good. Okay. Now, one more thing. Now, the last topic. Okay, the lambda expression. Okay, this is also part of interface. What is this? The functional interface. Let's say functional interface. Let me remove all this. Okay, from Java 1.8, any interface which has only one abstract method. For example, let me say integer, public abstract integer add integer a comma integer. So this is an abstract method and this is an interface. We remove this. Any interface which has only one abstract method is called as what? Functional interface. Okay, what is a functional interface? Any interface with only one abstract method is called as what? The functional interface. What is the use of this functional interface? Okay, you can invoke lambda expressions without establishing a contract, without creating a contract. Let us understand this, how you can achieve, what is an advantage of this. Okay, let us focus here. By this we can conclude this interface topic. With if we just practice the assignments which I am going to give, that will be more than enough. Now we focus here. You see, interface, and this is what? This is the class, right? Now I am not establishing any contract. I am not using any implement keyword. I'm not using any implement keyword, but in the main method, what I'm going to do, in the main method, if I want to utilize the lambda expression in the main method, I will be writing a code in such a way like, I'll be saying a obj equal to, I will be overriding this abstract method directly here. Instead of creating new driver, I will be overriding the abstract method. What I will be saying, I will be saying public int add teacher a comma integer b. Okay, semicolon. I will be overriding the abstract method next to the assignment operator, and I will be returning what? Return a plus b. Typically, this method is accepting two inputs, and let us say that the inputs are 10 comma 20. Okay, and 10 comma 20 will be added, and the 30 will be returned. This is what the logic is. Overwriting is happening next to the assignment operator. So this is what the typical lambda expression. But in the lambda expression, you do not have, if you are using a lambda, if you are saying something is a lambda expression, okay, this access modifier is optional. Return type is optional. Method name is also optional, right? And if you have only one instruction inside the body, that is also optional, right? And if you have what, if you data types, the variables are a and b, right? The data types you are using is integer. This is also an optional, right? And the return keyword is also optional. Okay, I have to just introduce an arrow keyword between this. That's it. This is what the lambda expression is. This is what the lambda expression is. Lambda. If you get logged out of the meeting, please rejoin. This is very, very important. It will take only 5 minutes. Huh? If you get logged out, please rejoin. This is a lambda expression, right? So with the help of lambda expression, I am not establishing any relationship between the two classes. First thing you need to focus. I'm not using the driver is implementing to interface A. No implements keyword is used. I am directly using the interface type. Okay, I am just overriding the method next to the assignment operator, right? Okay, let me do that in the, we'll do that here. Okay. I'm not establishing any relationship like implements. Let's see, I'm not doing this. Okay. With the functional interface, if we have any interface with only one abstract method, what I can do, I can take the interface type here, take any variable name obj equal to, give the implementation here directly. Implementation means give the body here, method body here, public integer add, okay, and give the method body here and end with semicolon, okay, return logic as report a plus b. You want to add two numbers, select two inputs and you want to add two numbers. A typical method, typical how you override a method, same overriding is happening here. You will give the logic here, body here is written a plus b. Okay. For a lambda expression, what they are saying, the access modifier is an optional thing. You are not supposed to use access modifier. The return type is an optional thing. Name of the method is an optional thing. Okay, in the body, if you have only one statement, okay, the curly braces are optional. Okay, the semicolon is part of curly brace, so you can remove that as well. Right? You have to introduce what? You have to introduce an arrow operator between the arguments and the instruction. Okay? And the return keyword is also an option. Right? And this data type is also an option. Okay, so this part is called as what? The lambda. Okay, what you can do, now I can call this lambda expression system.out.println obj dot, what is the name of the method? Add method, right? Name of the method is what? Add method. Add method. I can pass two arguments, 1 comma 2, any two arguments. Output is going to be what? 1 comma 2 is 3. Likewise, if I repeat this with any different combinations like 2 comma 2, 3 comma 2, 5 comma 2, 7 comma 2, respective summation will be displayed in the console. 4, 5, 7. This is a lambda expression. Thank you for rejoining, guys. Okay, let us see another example. Okay, now you tell me. Okay, now I have an interface A, I have an abstract method, something a different abstract method. Let's take my abstract method as public abstract abstract. Return type can be something like, okay, let me take integer only, multi multiply. Okay, I am accepting two integers. Okay, so this is an abstract method. First thing, any interface with only one abstract method, what is it? Functional interface. Remember this. Functional interface. What is a functional interface? Very popular interview question. Any interface with only one abstract method is a functional interface. What is use of functional interface? To invoke lambda expression. Invoke lambda expression. How to achieve lambda expression? You do not have to create a contract between a class and interface. So no such things like implements. Class can implement. It is no such thing like that. Class can be separate and an interface can be separate. Without establishing contract, you can invoke one lambda expression. How to do that? Okay. Take the interface name here, A. Okay. Give any meaningful reference variable name. A. Interface name is A. Give any meaningful reference name obj equal to override the abstract method next to the assignment of. What is an overriding? Giving the body, right? Giving the method body is the overriding, right? Let me copy the abstract method and paste it here. Remove the abstract keyword here and give the body. Remove the semicolon here. Give the body, right? And give what you want to do. You are accepting two inputs. You want to multiply those two inputs. Okay, two numbers. Accepting two numbers. You want to do the multiplication of those two numbers. A star B. This is how a method can be overwritten. Typically, you are doing that next to the assignment operator. Okay, what lambda expression says, when you use the lambda expression, right? The access modifier is not required. The return type is not required. The name of the method is not required. Okay? And you have to remove curly braces. Instead of curly braces, just introduce the arrow operator. What did I just do? No access modifier. No return type. Remove method name. Okay? If you have only one instruction, have only one instruction. No curly braces, right? And introduce an arrow operator. What is an arrow operator? This is an arrow operator. And again, inside the parameters, the data types are also optional because based on the context, the compiler can recognize. Because you are using the interface A, right? Interface A, you have multiply as an abstract method, which is accepting two integers. You don't have to specify that integers here. It knows, okay, this A is an integer, this B is an integer. It knows already, right? And the return keyword is also an optional thing. Within the one like you are able to do a lot of mathematical operation. In this case, you are able to do what? You are able to do the multiplication operation. What you can do, system.out.println and use this reference variable obj. Call the method, which method? Call the multiply method. Multiply method is part of the interface, right? And pass the values. This multiply method is accepting two integer values. Let me say 2, 2. Run this piece of code, you get 4. Okay. So let me put this in the paintbrush for the better understanding. Not required. Required. Now you see. So obj is of what type? Obj is of A type. What is A? A is an interface, right? A is an interface. Okay. And in the right hand side, what you are doing? You are accepting two numbers and you are doing the summation, right? Now look at here in the system.out.println. You are using obj, right? Obj, you are calling which method? Multiply method. What is the multiply method? The multiply method. Right? So this multiply method has been resolved to this. This multiply method has been reduced to this. Has been reduced to this. Okay. What you are passing? 2, 2. This A will consume 2. B will consume 2. After that, arrow operator is doing what? A is 2, B is 2. It is doing A into B. So 2 into 2. Result is what? Result is 4. Result is 4. That's why you are seeing 4 in the console. Okay. With this one logic, you can call this multiply method many times with different values. Different combinations, 10, 10, 100 you will get. Okay. So this is the kind of the functional oriented topic. You can see these topics in the JavaScript language. It has been adopted by Java also. Okay, the basic idea here is if you have any interface with one abstract method, you call this as what? The functional interface. What is an advantage of function interface? You can use what? You can invoke lambda expression. How to invoke lambda expression? You do not have to create a contract. You do not have to establish a relationship between. Don't have to establish a relationship between interface and access. Okay. Directly, you can override the method next to the assignment operator. Okay. Override the method next to the assignment operator. And what are the things you have to remove? Access modifier. You have to remove what? Access modifier. Access modifier. Remove data. Third name. If only one instruction in the curly in the body. Remove curly braces. Okay. Introduce arrow token or arrow operator. Remove return keyword. Data type. So this is all about what? This is all about the interfaces. Now you can answer. Okay. So the only reason I am discussing this much is in the interview room you can get these questions, but in the Selenium topic, okay, you don't come across this very often. This is a very much rare topic, right? In the interview room, they will ask you the difference between Java 7 and the Java 8 with respect to interfaces. So to understand that, I have introduced the enhancements of interface like default method, you have static methods, and the function interface and the lambda support. I will update everything in the description, in the YouTube description. Just see this video once again, and I will share you the assignments tonight. Practice those assignments for the next 2 days. I will give you the target. Then these topics will be very much clear.